Okay, so picture this, you sharing your cybersecurity know-how and turning it into like a really cool side hustle.
What, even a full-blown business?
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today, the exciting world of remote cybersecurity training.
And it's a field that's like seriously taking off right now, and we're going to unpack why.
We're going to be looking at excerpts from a piece called Remote Cybersecurity Training, a promising side job or startup. And it makes a, pretty compelling case for why now is the time to jump in.
Yeah, especially when you think about all those data breaches and cyber attacks we keep seeing in the news.
Totally.
Businesses are finally realizing they need to up their cybersecurity game.
Big time.
And even individuals are like starting to get the message too.
Okay, so let's get into why remote cybersecurity training is booming right now.
Okay.
The source points to like a few key factors, and the first one that they mentioned is, well, duh, the sheer number of cyber attacks and data breaches.
Right. It's like finally realizing you need to install that home security system you've been putting off. Businesses are understanding that being proactive with cybersecurity training can save them a ton of trouble and money down the line.
For sure. And the second factor is that traditional cybersecurity training, like, in-person workshops or getting a whole university degree, can be super expensive.
Yeah.
And not really accessible to everyone.
Yeah, exactly. Not everyone can afford to take time off work or, travel to attend those things.
Yeah.
Remote training makes it way more flexible and opens up the opportunity to learn for people all over.
Right. It democratizes it in a way.
It does.
And then the third factor is, well, the whole remote work situation, right? Thanks to the pandemic, everyone's way more comfy with online learning now.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
And it just makes remote cybersecurity training even more appealing.
Yeah.
It's true. The pandemic really pushed everyone towards remote work. And as a result, it's actually expanded the potential market for cybersecurity training. Think about it. How many people in your own life could benefit from, like better cybersecurity awareness? Friends, family, colleagues.
Yeah.
There's a huge potential audience out there.
It's true. I mean, I know a lot of people in my life that, just aren't as aware of cybersecurity as they should be.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so this is all super intriguing, but let's get down to the specifics. What are, like, the hottest niches within this field?
Well, the source highlights a few areas where you can really establish your expertise, kind of like...
Like choosing your cybersecurity superpower.
Exactly. And one of the most popular areas is threat prevention. This is where you teach people about all the common cyber threats, like phishing scams and malware and ransomware. It's like the essential stuff everyone needs to know to stay safe online.
Totally. It's like teaching people to spot those red flags before they get scammed or something.
Exactly. Another crucial area is incident response. Yeah. This is about what happens after an attack. You're kind of like a digital firefighter, guiding people through the process of damage control and investigation and recovery.
Yeah, because even if you have the best defenses, breaches can still happen. So knowing what to do when they do is so critical.
Right. And then there's cybersecurity best practices, which is all about those everyday habits that can really make a difference. Strong passwords, using two-factor authentication.
Yeah, a lot of people don't even really understand how two-factor authentication works, even though they probably use it all the time.
Oh, yeah, that's a great point. A lot of people just think of it as that extra step where you got to enter a code from your phone, but it's really about adding another layer of security to your accounts.
Right.
Imagine if your house had a strong lock on the door and a security guard.
Right.
Makes it a lot harder to break in.
That's a good analogy.
And finally, we have compliance and regulations. This is a big one for businesses, especially those dealing with sensitive data, like medical records or financial info.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
With all the, high-profile data privacy cases we've seen lately and laws like GDPR, expertise in this niche is in high demand.
So you'd be like the cybersecurity lawyer, making sure businesses aren't going to get hit with huge fines.
Precisely. Each of these areas represents a potential market for your training programs. And the cool thing is, you can start by focusing on one and then maybe branch out into others later.
So you're saying you don't need to be an expert in everything right away?
Nope, not at all. Start with what you know best and build from there.
All right, so let's say I've picked my cybersecurity specialty and I'm ready to start teaching. How do I actually create a training program that's going to stand out? I mean, there's got to be a ton of competition out there.
Well, our source emphasizes a few key strategies, and the first is structure. You need a well-organized curriculum, clear modules, maybe some quizzes to test knowledge, and even some hands-on simulations to make the learning more interactive.
Like gamifying the learning experience, right?
Exactly. And you can choose to host your courses on existing platforms like Udemy or Coursera. That's a good option if you're just starting out, because you get access to a huge audience right away.
So you don't have to worry about building your own website and everything.
Right. But if you want more control over your content and branding and pricing, you could create your own website to host your courses.
Okay, that makes sense. But what I thought was really interesting in the article was the emphasis on chat-based instruction.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like that personal touch could be a real game changer in the world of online learning.
It definitely can. Think about it. It's way more engaging to be able to ask questions and get immediate feedback and connect with other learners.
It's about fostering that sense of community, right?
Exactly. And that's something you don't always get with traditional online courses.
Makes sense. But I'm also curious about the other ways people are structuring their training programs. What are the pros and cons of different approaches, like video courses, live webinars, things like that?
That's a great question. And it's something we should definitely dig into because choosing the right format is crucial.
So we've picked a niche, we've got our training program all set up, and we're engaging with our students in real time. Now let's talk about the practical stuff. How can someone actually make money from all this?
Well, the source outlines a few different monetization strategies. And one of the most popular is the subscription model.
Like a cybersecurity gym membership, basically.
Exactly. You provide ongoing training, updates, and support to individuals or businesses.
So they stay up to date on all the latest threats and everything.
Yep. It's all about providing continuous value and building long-term relationships.
Okay, what are some other strategies?
Another option is to offer one-time training programs, like targeted courses on specific topics. This lets people choose exactly what they need and pay a flat fee.
Right, so it's more of an a la carte approach.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's corporate training tailoring programs to meet the specific needs of businesses, which can be very lucrative.
Especially since businesses are putting more and more emphasis on cybersecurity training for their employees.
Oh, for sure. And then there's the possibility of affiliate partnerships with cybersecurity software companies.
Interesting.
You could recommend specific tools and earn commissions on sales.
So it's not just about selling information, it's about providing a valuable service and maybe even generating some passive income.
Absolutely. It's about creating a win-win for both you and your students.
Okay, this is all super inspiring.
hmm
What, stands out to you the most about all of this?
I think what's really cool is how accessible it all is.
Yeah.
You can use your existing knowledge, work from anywhere,
Yeah.
set your own hours, build a business that you're actually passionate about.
It is really empowering.
It is.
And it's so relevant to how we work and live today. And this field is always evolving, which means there's always something new to learn.
Absolutely. It's a career path that keeps you on your toes.
For sure. Okay, so let's switch gears a bit and talk about the practical steps someone could take to actually get started. What advice would you give to someone who's totally inspired but maybe a little overwhelmed by the idea of starting from scratch?
That's a great question.
Mm.
I think the first piece of advice would be to really hone in on that niche.
Mm.
You know, what area of cybersecurity are you totally passionate about? What unique skills or experiences can you bring to the table?
Yeah, because you really got to love what you're teaching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your enthusiasm will shine through, and it'll make a huge difference for your students.
For sure. And once you've, figured out your niche,
hmm
what then?
Well, then it's time to do some research. See what other training programs are out there, what they're doing well, what gaps you could fill.
It's kind of like market research, figuring out where you fit in.
Exactly. And don't feel like you have to create this massive, super comprehensive course right away.
Yeah, that sounds overwhelming.
You can start small, maybe with a series of webinars or a short workshop on a very specific topic.
Yeah, test the waters a bit first.
Exactly. And remember, building a business takes time and effort.
Mm.
Be patient, be persistent, and always be learning and growing.
That's solid advice. But we can't forget about the marketing side of things, right? How do you actually get people to sign up for your training?
Well, you got to understand your target audience.
Yeah.
Where do they hang out online? Are they on LinkedIn? Active in cybersecurity forums?
You got to find them where they are.
Exactly. And don't underestimate the power of networking. Going to industry events, connecting with people on social media, building relationships with potential partners and affiliates.
Networking is so important, especially in a field like cybersecurity.
Oh, it's huge.
Yeah,
And one last thing. Remember that building trust is absolutely key.
makes sense. People want to know that they're learning from a real expert.
Right. They want to know you're credible, that you genuinely want to help them.
So it's about like showcasing your expertise, being transparent with your pricing, offering great customer service, all that stuff.
Exactly. It's about establishing yourself as a trusted advisor in the cybersecurity space.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. From choosing a niche to building a curriculum to marketing your training. What are like the key takeaways for our listeners? Especially those who are seriously thinking about starting their own remote cybersecurity training business.
I think the biggest takeaway is that there's a massive opportunity here.
Yeah,
The demand for cybersecurity professionals is only going to grow.
right.
And remote training is a fantastic way to tap into that market.
And to like be part of the solution, right? Helping people and businesses protect themselves online.
Absolutely. And you don't have to be some kind of tech genius to do this.
Mm-hmm.
If you're passionate about cybersecurity and you want to share your knowledge, you can absolutely build a successful training business.
That's great to hear. But, building any business comes with challenges. What are some of the hurdles people might face along the way?
Oh, there will definitely be challenges.
Yeah.
But challenges are just opportunities in disguise, right?
So, like, embrace those challenges, learn from them, and keep pushing forward.
Exactly. And remember, you don't have to do this alone. There are tons of resources out there to support you. Online communities, mentorship programs, industry associations.
It's about tapping into those resources and not being afraid to ask for help.
Right.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Earlier we talked about chat-based instruction
Yeah?
and how offering that personal touch can be like a total game changer.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, how does it actually work in practice? What are some of the platforms or tools people are using for these real-time interactions?
That's a great question. There are a bunch of platforms out there designed specifically for online learning and community building. Like some of the popular ones are Slack, Discord, and even Facebook groups.
Oh, yeah, that's true. You could totally use Facebook groups.
Each platform has its own, pros and cons, so it's about finding what works for you and your students.
Yeah, I guess it's like any tool, right? You got to find the one that fits your needs.
Okay, so finding the right platform to build that community is super important. But what about the actual content of the training itself?
Yeah.
How can someone make sure they're creating training that's not just informative, but also engaging and memorable?
That's where I think creativity and storytelling really come in. Don't be afraid to experiment with different formats, use real world examples, even throw in a little humor to keep things interesting.
So it's about making it fun and relatable.
Exactly. Because when people enjoy the learning process, they're way more likely to actually remember the information.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
All right, so we've talked about the opportunities, the challenges, the strategies, the tools, all that good stuff. But before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to go back to something we touched on earlier, the importance of staying ahead of the curve in this constantly evolving field.
Yeah, it's crucial to be a lifelong learner in cybersecurity. Subscribe to industry newsletters, go to webinars, connect with other professionals. Always be on the lookout for new knowledge and perspectives.
Because if you get complacent, you're going to fall behind.
Exactly. The threats are always changing, so you got to stay informed about the latest trends and vulnerabilities and all that.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of remote cybersecurity training, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought-provoking question. What area of cybersecurity expertise are you most passionate about? What unique perspective or experience could you bring to this market?
We need more people who are excited about cybersecurity, people who want to share their knowledge and help others stay safe online.
It's time to take action. Turn that knowledge into action. Become a cybersecurity champion. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe online.